Hello, everybody, and welcome to Always the Worst. And a wee bit of housekeeping from yesterday for the odd person who might be here after
I
yesterday's
was there.
fiasco. And to Mark, so Mark, you get a recap. We found it was possibly an Streamlabs issue, and did speak about it, but hopefully we've fixed that problem. If anything pops up, please. I know, Ina, you were our, tech support there. I've just shown every problem that came up, you were right on the ball. But please, if
Yep.
anything happens again, audio, video, whatever, just let us know as quick as possible so we can see if we can.
And all death threats need to be made out to Chris, the Sapien. Just
Right.
get him on Twitter.
Bring them over here. I'll take them all. Basically,
Real-
these are all just
Real
test
bloods
runs
for rating is
until we
preferred.
can get it out. So yeah, and as Ina said, she's buzzing because it's the Hereditary episode, and
Heck yeah.
I want to kick things off with this. So we're going to be looking at Hereditary. I'm not even going to get at the plot or anything or synopsis. I just want to say, yous are all bastards for making me watch this. Yous are all the actual worst.
Who was it again?
Did it mess?
Who suggested
Did it mess with you a bit, Chris? It was Cree Bear on
Oh, was it?
Twitch. Is one of my mates, Chris.
All right,
Right.
so tell your mate he can go live in a pit for all I care.
Oh no, no, yeah, I've told him.
Yeah.
He knows to die in a fire.
Wait, so
So,
we're dropping
um,
audience members by the second here. Thanks, Chris.
I don't care anymore. I've had such anxiety today.
Our mental sanity is worth getting rid of these audience. No, it's not.
No, it's not. No.
God.
No,
But anyway,
please stay.
It was
Please.
it was a great film in my opinion, but I knocked over a cup. I nearly broke my arm. I battled my knees off the desk. I actually physically got up out my chair, and Donna nearly kicked me out of the room because she was working behind me as I went, "Oh fuck!" and tried to run away when that stupid woman ran at the screen.
Yep. So there was also a point where you paused the film while we were watching it because you were just like, "Here, oh no."
So I handled myself well at first. So see when the car moment and it's that huge shock, I wanted to pause it so much then because I needed a minute to gather my thoughts. But I went, no, Mark's watching this with me. We're going to power through. And then it wasn't even a big thing. It was a moment. It fucked me. And I had to pause it. And it's just my head, my hands, like, oh no. I wish I recorded myself because it would have
Kind
been
of, that would have
brilliant.
been funny.
But,
Yep.
so yeah.
So
just
I
wanted
mean,
to get my experience of that.
I'll give a quick synopsis of what the film was about then, essentially, because the film itself, it's hard to describe because it keeps trying to throw you for a loop as to what its plot actually is, and a lot of the trailers for this set it up to be your typical kind of spooky girl does spooky things, definitely going to be possessed by a demon sort of thing. But the plot is essentially about a family dealing with grief when it starts off like a mother. The grandmother of the family has passed away, and it's showing the mother of the family's dealing with that grief. But then more is to follow soon after, and it just kind of follows them through this turmoil in their life. I mean, essentially, it's marketed as a horror movie, but 90% of it is just about people dealing with the loss of their loved ones.
Pretty much.
I didn't look into anything about director, actors, or anything because I needed to take a moment today. That was my usual plan. Is afterwards I go and look up the director, look up the actors and actresses, so I can figure out who they are and what they've done and things. No, I went and lay down.
It's not because I don't think it's necessary with this one because I mean, the film speaks volumes for itself alone. That you don't really need to go any deeper.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot to discuss here. So should we just dive
I
into
think
it?
in
or-
terms of. Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's go nuts.
I mean, like, so essentially, the movie starts off in a really great way because it's the soundtrack that's kind of permanent throughout this entire film. It just gives you a sense of like foreboding, like your nerves are on end. Like it's so well done.
The sound design for this film is amazing. It's absolutely beautiful. There's so many amazing build-up moments. The use of like the instruments to just sort of build it up and build it up and build it up and then immediately stop. But it's not like it's stopped and gone down. It's just stopped up there.
Yeah.
And you're up.
Yeah, and this is like also the visuals in this as well. When it starts out, it kind of shows you just like a miniature house, and then zooms into it, and it's almost it throws you for a loop again. You're like, wait, is this what am I watching? Is this something about dolls like living in? It's like it puts you on the back foot at all times.
See the dollhouse stuff. It gave me that sense of, is this like a normal haunting, and the dollhouse is the haunted part, and it plays out what the family goes through the dollhouse, and it's got nothing to do with that whatsoever.
Exactly.
But it's so good. The best comparison I can give, and I think it's actually doing it a discredit to a point, because I have put this as my favorite horror film now. Like, it is up there because it's not super horror film, but it is horror film. It's its own genre because the way it fucks with your mind. It's like Paranormal Activity on first viewing. It does good like Junji and Lovecraft horror, where tension does this and then stays there, and then you don't get a payoff. And that's what this film has. It's this thing of, horror isn't about us overcoming, it's about us surrendering to whatever that is. So it's like tension builds and then just holds it, and it freaks with your mind because you know something's coming. And then when it doesn't come, you go, it's coming now. And then it doesn't come again. There's a lot of that in this film where it goes, we're going to hold you at that creep point where you know you're going to get a jump scare or the twist of the plot, and then it just doesn't happen. It just keeps you there for like 10 minutes, and it fucks with you so hard.
Because like the first few scenes of this movie, like I don't know if y'all noticed this, they paint out like the child Charlie, I think her name is, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so they paint out the child as like this unknown element. Like she kind of like the way it always frames her, she's walking around and like you kind of just sense that something's gonna go fucking wrong with her. Like she's gonna do something to someone. But
and then it like, turns on its head, like the big moment.
It turns on its head. Yeah. No, Chris, no.
I'm sorry.
Not yet.
So to everybody that's not seen this, this is my spoiler warning right now. We are going to spoil the shit out of this film because there's too much of it to dive into.
You need to. It just keeps going. Like, I'm
sorry.
Sorry.
Can I just say as well in regards to like the dollhouse, because obviously you mentioned that before we go like too far away. I really thought we were going to get, so at the start we're introduced to the dollhouse and it's like a sort of mini version of their house, obviously. And then later on, as it catches up, we're having sort of present events. I was really sort of expecting them to like go sort of past that, and almost it would be telling of the future kind of. She's basically making dollhouses to like predict what's going to happen next, stuff like that. That's what I was thinking might have happened. Obviously, it didn't, but that could have been a nice twist on things.
But it's kind of like we find out it's more her. The mother of the family's coping mechanism. Like she uses it to sort of compartmentalize her life story and her problems into scenes for her art.
Quite literally. Yeah.
I mean, I must say, like right off the bat though, like Toni Collette is the fucking star of this show. Like, like out acts everyone in every scene she's in. Like it's phenomenal performance.
The best scenes for me for that was, see when her and her son, when they first talk after the incident at the dinner table, and her just losing it, just finally snapping and basically going, this is your fault and I fucking hate you for what you've done to me. She doesn't say that, but everything comes out, and just watching her go, I'm going, that reminds me of, see, any time you got an actual bollocking when you were younger, when you really fucked up. It didn't feel like somebody acting. It felt like, oh no, that's that night when I came home steaming drunk, tried to punch my stepdad because I was so drunk and didn't know what I was doing, and then my mum the next day just tearing me apart. That was that moment. I was like, this is a bit too fucking much.
She's fantastic, but to be fair, everyone in this movie does like an amazing job. But like, it's so good the way they we just kind of get slowly like pushed through with them. Like, because it starts out, as I say, we've got the funeral, everything's going wrong, the mother's going to like grief counseling to sort of deal with this problem, and she really doesn't seem to have time for her family right now. And this is where we get to the main crux of it, is where she just fobs off the daughter with the son to say, go to this party because I don't want to deal with you, really. That's what it feels like. She's just kind of like sick of her walking off and doing dumb shit all the time. And that leads to the main event of the film in general.
it leads to the point where who you think's going to end up turning into the villain, we'll call it, like the supernatural element of the film, what you think that's actually going to be, gets taken away from you because of the events that happen. I'm trying my best to beat around it, like, just in case, because that moment is so fucking out of nowhere that it blows me away. So yeah, I'm not going to actually talk about that moment, but this is the twist that changes the film. And it's brilliant because they're setting up this almost supernatural psychic thing with the wee girl and her gran. Like, they're setting this up as this wee girl's connected to her gran, and you think, no, what it is, the granny's going to possess her, and then she's going to be the big bad that does all the bad exorcist stuff, and then it goes, no. Fuck you, no. And I love that boy's performance of like a teenager in grief. I feel like his pushing of going into madness and grief, like true grief, is so good. Of just watching, see the way he stares away and just watching him tear up is beautiful. It's like, it's such a good development of him trying to deal with what he did by accident.
Yeah, I mean, like, just it feels such a good performance, like it's a real performance.
Yeah.
You know, like the fact that he doesn't even say anything, he just can't handle what he's just seen, like, and the fact that like then he leaves it for the mother to discover in the morning is just fucking, like, the scene that follows us again, like Toni Collette stealing the show as she fucking screams her lungs out in bloody horror for like 20 minutes, and you just
that was a toughie. That was a toughie.
It's like after that moment, the ramp up of what happens is so gradual, and it's brilliant because you don't think it's going to go where it's going. You really don't. After that moment with the girl die, sorry.
We said we were going to spoil
I know,
the film.
I didn't talk about it. She gets fucking decapitated.
Fucking pole.
She gets fucking obliterated is what happens to her.
Right. So to give you context, essentially, like, the mother forces the brother to take the girl out, and she gets into trouble where she gets an allergic reaction. He's trying to drive her to a hospital, but she can't breathe, so she leans out the car to try and breathe and gets decapitated by a telephone pole.
She tries to kiss a telephone pole going at 60, 70 miles an hour.
Yes. And the thing is, this is like, at this point you realize that it's not really the fault of the son, because he's trying his best to get her to hospital. Like, he knows he fucked up in a wee way, like by like abandoning her for 2 seconds, but the mother also abandoned her to just get rid of her for the night. And so everyone is kind of at fault, and no one knows how to deal with their grief at this point. And I mean, other than the father, who is fucking
there's one person who's very much not to blame.
Yes.
Yeah. But do you know what that is? That I feel so bad for that guy, because he is the stability of that family, trying to get them through it, because he empathizes with the son, where the mother can't. He's like, we have another child that basically you need to save now, because if you don't, you're going to lose 2 kids out of this.
Yeah.
And watching him try to deal with it, and then when his wife's basically going nuts because of everything, watching him slowly change, of like, I can't stand by and watch you do this to yourself. You need to stop. It's heart-wrenching, because as an audience, we go, no, she's right. But you're like everything that's happened to this.
Right. So this is one thing I want to bring up right now, because I think before we get too far, there's a point in the movie where she goes to the grief counseling, right? And she explains her entire family history, just puts it all out on the table. She mentions that there is a long line of hereditary mental illness in the family, including like dissociative personality disorder, schizophrenia, that kind of thing, where people have just lost the plot completely, right? Yeah. So from that point onwards, knowing that it could easily be passed down to her, she becomes unreliable narrator.
Yeah, because you have that thing with that is, see, if this didn't go as supernatural as it did with the other members of our family, there is an argument to make. Is this all in her?
Well, see, this is the thing. I want to, as we go through the plot, I'll show my reasonings why I still think it can be valid.
Right. Okay.
Right. So
the next big part of this is meeting of Joni.
Joni, yeah.
Joni.
At the grief counselling meeting, we meet Joni, yes.
Who looks her out and helps her quite a bit, actually. She actually brings her back from the edge quite a huge chunk. But as things go, we realise Joni is wanting to get into seancing because she wants to talk to her son and her grandson that they lost by drowning.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the supernatural bit that really kicks in, because everything else is implied but not really pushed in front of you. A lot of it could be grief and try to figure out your mind, but this is a moment where she goes, we're going to do a seance in my living room, and I'm going to prove to you that my grandson is here and he's going to talk to us. And that scene is actually my favourite scene in this whole film, is because of Tony, is that her name, that actress's name?
Toni Collette, yeah.
Toni Collette. Her moment there of breaking down in tears and being so scared, even though she's in a technically safe version of this, is so good, because I think that's exactly how you would react if you were sitting there and you have someone who's like, I can talk to my dead grandchild, and does it, actually does it in front of you, and you can't take it in that it's real. I would break down like that. I wouldn't be like, oh, this is amazing. I'd be like, I want to go fucking home. I can't deal with it. This is not real. And I loved it, because I was like, it's the first time in a horror film with seances has happened that I went, that's exactly how you'd react to a seance if it worked. You wouldn't be cool about it. You would break down a fucking nothing. So I just want to say, love that scene.
Yeah. I mean, like, what I find difficult about these things as well is like obviously she denies it at first as well. She does that thing where it's like, this is bullshit, like you wouldn't believe it and all that kind of thing. But again, you're saying like this is kind of gives it the actual real element where you can see the seance happening and working. Again, everything from these points is only ever seen by the mother. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah.
But
go on,
Michael.
Yep.
Oh, I was going to say about what I considered my favorite scene was the one where she sleepwalks into her son's room, the one where the music heavy builds up and then it just stops right as he says mom. Mm-hmm. And it goes into that whole confession. I love that. The confession of she never really wanted him because she knew of what the true evil was in her mum. So she knew that there was, then going back even to that, she knew that there was a problem. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like she wanted to be the end point of the hereditary mental illnesses. She didn't want to have a child. Her mum essentially said, you have to have a child. And her choice was, right, I'm going to have a child, but you're not getting near this child. And this whole thing of, I never wanted you, I tried to get rid of you, I tried to not have you, all that stuff. It's so heavy, but then the whole, it's in the dream, but what's in the dream, but it's all... And then it goes to the more sort of dream aspect where once again it harkens back to the dream where she was covered in paint thinner, but she wasn't covered. No, it was the sleepwalking incident.
Sleepwalking incident,
them all, where she doused them all in paint thinner. That was my favorite scene.
Yeah, I absolutely love that scene as well, because even if it does kind of like cancel itself afterwards by saying like, oh, it's just a dream. But again, it doesn't matter. It's still character building. We get to find out how she really feels about her son, and we get to see more of like her like instability and such.
Yeah.
And it also gives us more insight into her relationship with her mother, like the grandmother of the movie, because I get the feeling that she knows more about what was going on with her grandmother than she makes on. Like, why does she? Because like the mother lived there in the house at the end. We find out like she was living with them, and she had all of her stuff there, and she was very open about wanting to spend more time with the children and all that kind of thing. So she must have had some inkling that she was involved in these sort of like supernatural sects or whatever else.
Yeah, as like Michael brought up, see her kind of not hatred of her son, but like distance from her son does suggest that she knew the end game if she had a boy.
Yeah, in some regards. Not necessarily that she knew exactly what they were up to.
She knew there was some nefarious deeds going to happen if she had a boy, because as you said, like the grandmother loved another wee girl in the family, even though they said the wee girl, like she put very along, she went, Gran says I should have been a boy. She wanted me to be a boy, which is such a throwaway thing at the beginning when you're like, all right, but you didn't move Gran.
I mean, like, The other throwaway line that is just disturbing is the fact that the grandmother breastfed the daughter.
Did
Oh,
she? I
when
don't
did
rem-
that? When was that? I
No, she
totally
said
missed that line.
no. That's what I'm saying. Like it was a throwaway line in that sense. She said, grandmother like didn't even want me to feed you. She wanted to feed you herself. And then you see
Oh.
the dollhouse, and she's got the grandmother with her breast out.
Right.
It was
Oh.
actually breastfeeding is what she meant as a baby, not like just feeding in
Yeah.
general.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's...
No, I just totally missed the line in general. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Oh.
Like they just put it in as it's like a normal bit of conversation. So it's obviously it shows that this mother just fucking ignored a lot of the fucked up shit that was going on.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
So from there, we have another big build up in this film of the mum decides, I am going to do the seance because I know it works. She does a quick test. I like how she done a test run of it before the real thing in the bathroom. She went, I'm going to go test this theory out. And the minute she figures out it happens, again, she became us. Because she does it again, and it doesn't work the way it should. She became always
Or
the
does
worst.
I mean, I
Very
think
true.
the point is like we get to see is that she's just reading these texts without any prior knowledge, doesn't know what language it's in. Even like the husband is like, what do you is this? Like, do you even know what you're doing? Like
And she got these texts from Joni. I think it's Joni, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Joni.
Joni. So she got these from Joni because Joni's like, you need to do this. It's going to give you closure.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Joni's demeanour through all this, when you first even meet her, she's that stepsword's wife positive, where she's so upbeat that there's obviously something not quite okay there.
Yeah.
And you get to find this out not long after this seance. Like, you find out that she knew Granny, but never said she knew Granny. And then the seances and everything, the nefarious deeds of the seances start to come out. And I don't know if we want to jump into this now about the reason the boy gets fucked with as much as he does.
I mean, like that point is kind of like more held towards the end, I would say. But like, I think what we need to kind of touch on is the fact that the boy himself is suffering like massively at this point. Like he's almost like both him and the mother are like completely mentally distraught and destroyed.
Yeah.
Like, and the fact of the matter is that like no one seems to be paying attention to any of this apart from the father figure. Like the father is the one that's holding everything together, and you can see that he's also at the stage of trying to get psychological help for them.
Yeah, because he's trying to. I think he's in talks with like either a doctor or
it's a psychiatrist that says. Yeah.
He's sending emails to them like seriously because he keeps some information from his wife with the burial desecration.
Yep.
Because he's like, she can't deal with this, and then with that he's trying to protect his family, and then when some information gets brought out later, he blames the wife because that body shows up, and he's like, where have you been? You keep saying you're going to the movies, but I know you're not going to the movies every night. So was this you? Like, are you actually that bad right now that you're doing this? And it's a shame because you watch him try to keep a family together that is so broken that they can't get held together, and there's nothing he can do.
I think
it's
the best scene as well for me is just to watch when he like when he's the only one who goes to pick up his son because his son has just decided to like smash his face into a desk in the middle of class. You know, through possession is what we're calling it. But like it's the fact that when he like just has to like stop the car and cry, like because he's just that fucking done with it all, and it's like he just has to keep his strength up. It's so fucking sad to see. It's so well acted.
The thing is, like, there was a lot of just emotionally heavy moments throughout the film where you're just like this. Obviously, you take out sort of the supernatural elements, and you're just like, it is a family going through grief, and like how would you feel in those kind of scenarios? And just the dad trying to keep us cool is just so it hits you, man. Really does.
Yeah, especially since he never takes it to an extreme, if you know what I mean. Like there's a point where like he's standing there and he's just like, look, I can't do this anymore. Like he either needs to leave or he needs to get her help or something. You can see he's at his end point, but he doesn't take it out on her. He doesn't take it out on the son or anything. He just goes like, I'm fucking done. Like, this needs to stop, sort of thing. And I guess we should kind of get to that point where, are we at the end? I guess we are.
I think we are at
Very
the end,
much.
because outside of going through any like super detail and all these kind of micro moments of what's happening, we are basically powering through this storyline, because the storyline in itself is really elegantly simple. Of
Yes.
what would happen if grief got to the point that it changes people, and then if you have an outside element helping change you. It's the way I see it. It's like, if you want to take it down the route of as supernatural beings attacking vulnerability, it's just showing you what people would do, because most of it is the supernatural doesn't really mess with them too much. It's like a lot of the stuff happening has got nothing to do with the supernatural. It's only
mostly
the last,
implied. Yeah.
It's the last act. It's like the third
So-
act type stuff.
So this is the one I want to kind of get into again for like my point of view of it. Right. So what we have is the situation where she wants to burn the book that they say is connected via the seance to Charlie, right? But she tries to do it herself, and she believes it sets her on fire.
Yeah.
So she asks him to do it, and this is when he gives up on her. And he's just like, I can't keep furthering your madness. I can't keep like playing along with you to do what you want to do. So what we see from her perspective is her running at him, but somehow grabbing the book and throwing it in the fire.
Yeah.
But that sets him on fire instead. And as we know, she has these like moments where she's tried to set her family on fire before. So from her perspective, this might. So it's kind of, you could say it's a supernatural force, or you could say that she just set him on fire, and we don't really know because we can't tell it. But at that point, we have lost the last sane character. We've lost the last person who can be like there to help keep everything grounded. And so we only have the son, who could be mentally ill as well, and her.
Holy fuck. I never even thought it this way, but that makes so much sense. Of like the minute, because think about the supernatural stuff is so low key when he's alive. And the minute he dies, we get mums climbing walls and scaring the shit out of me because I climbing
naked
walls.
people invading the house.
Yes.
Like,
my
I've
God.
watched, like, see the way it's cut at that moment. It goes, he's on fire, cuts to daylight, cuts to nighttime, and there's 1,000 naked people outside the house. It's like an almost like gone, no more sanity to have in the film anymore.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that could actually be what it's about.
I was a big fan of those kind of cuts. By the way, the instantaneous.
Oh my god, it's like a light
night.
switch. It's fucking beautiful. So
Love
well done.
those.
One of my
those.
favourite ones of them was when the boy's sitting at the edge of his bed, and then he's suddenly in school, in the same position. I was like, oh, that's so good way to show passage of time with someone not realising time has passed. So good.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we're going to go into the last kind of act to this film, right?
Oh boy.
Fucking
it's
hell.
so fucking good.
Right, so the last act just goes nuts, and I love it for it, because this film has a slow pace of building, and then it goes, let's take the shackles off. And when it does it so well, because it does have jump scares. The fucking that one, I'm gonna hate it for the rest of my days with her running at him. But it has jump scares, but they kind of hold back on them, and then they set up this unbelievably odd behaviour, as you say, with the naked people. So what happens is the mum just before this finds the dead body in the loft of her gran with her head chopped off.
Yep.
And then he finds it. So there's some truth in that body was there, but we don't know if it
the
was
graveyard
murdered.
was desecrated. We saw that. Like, it was dug up, and
That was there.
basically.
It happened. And then after all this, that's when we get to the nighttime, and it's about the son and the mum. Final confrontation, almost.
Yeah.
And this is where we get into like super culty, witchy stuff where everything gets thrown at you a mile a minute, because it basically answers all your questions that the film sets up to give you. And then you're like, is this actually about a demon lord? Is that what we're going for?
I know, like, you
And then it ends. It brings that up and then goes, we're going to worship you, demon lord Charlie. Whatever
He's
your
not
hell
Charlie.
name, whatever your hell name is.
King
because
Paimon.
Paimon.
No,
Yes.
it's Charlie. Because
He's
that's
Peter.
the thing. Yeah.
Charlie was gone.
Actually, no, yes, Charlie.
No, it's
because
Charlie. Because that's the whole point. It's like
it's the spirit of
Charlie
her goes into
yeah,
him, and then
'cause
he becomes the better vessel.
because
Remember?
Charlie was meant to be the vessel of this demon lord that the family, the whole family, well, not the family, the Gran and all her witchy friends were working towards.
They
It's like
really wanted it to be a boy, though. Like, that
had
was the
to
problem.
be a boy. So
Yeah.
that's the spirit of this demon, but it happened to end up being in Charlie, which makes so much sense. Like Charlie's got allergic reactions to stuff and seems to have mental issues and learning issues and all these things. It's because that soul is in the
Right,
wrong
I
body.
want to see what Michael. What were you thinking was happening then?
Oh, I had some slightly different views then. Maybe it might be because of how I interpreted the sort of symbol that you see kicking about a lot of the time.
Yeah, go into it, man.
To me, the symbol looked like three bodies.
Oh, interesting.
So it looked like three sort of
Three
stickmen
heads,
bodies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, as soon as you saw the grandma, Charlie was dead, and then the mum was dead.
All
So
through
there's your three
decapitation.
bodies.
Yeah.
All through decapitation, and then Paimon they were able to somehow channel Paimon's spirit into this male vessel. So they could worship Paimon.
So what we see happening is because the mother becomes possessed by Charlie, right? And she keeps her body, and then she decapitates herself, and it leaves her body and goes into his body, the final vessel.
Okay.
So it is technically, yes, it passes through three generations, sort of thing, but it does like essentially embed in him because he's a male, and that's how it would work.
Because they needed King Paimon. It was like this demon prince of hell or something.
That's why
then,
he clicks when he stands up. He does the thing.
And even better, that happens, and then the film goes, "We're not going to give you any more. Bye, guys." And you're like,
Can I just talk about one of my favorite shots from the film as well?
Yeah, sure.
Was that scene where Peter was the son's name?
Yes, Peter. Yep.
Peter was the son's name. So that moment where he walks outside, he's following the mum's decapitated body, floating along. The bit where it floats up into the treehouse.
fuck off.
So that was beautiful. I would really want to know how they did that.
It's so fucking.
I don't know. I don't know if it was CGI. It looks practical, but it looks CGI. But
it's so flawless the way it floats, isn't it?
Such a
so
beautiful shot. It's hauntingly beautiful.
Yeah.
I think what we should also mention there is that soundtrack at the end, like just the strings and the fucking like the godly rays sounds kind of coming through as well.
Going on over the background is just her sawing her neck. As Michael brought up earlier, everything about the audio and sound design of this was so above and beyond what by all rights it should have been for like a horror film like this. It makes it so well because most of it wasn't music. It was just noise, really odd noise.
Right. So do you know like the part that like really threw me off is like I think it's quite early on in the film where there's just like a lot of normal scenes, like maybe 4 scenes back to back, but it has this constant dum 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 dum, and it's like, what the fuck is that? Like, get out of my head! Like, it fucks with
What's
you so
going
much.
on? Is something going on? Is something meant to be going on?
It's a paranormal activity thing of what they're doing is they're just leaving you on the edge at all times, no matter what. Because even paranormal activity, they did it in the other way of going, we're going to give you nothing. So that when you have scenes of nothing, you can't help but think something's going to happen. This done it with their sounds. So it's like, here's scenes of them at a party. We'll have the normal music, but just in the background we'll have dum dum, dum dum of someone's heart beating for no reason other than to make you think something's happening, and you don't get to know. And one of the most horrific parts of that whole bit of the party was realising that you've outgrew the music of the youth and realise this stuff is shite. I was listening going, what happened to rap music, man? Like, seriously, what happened to rap music? I was like, man, I became old.
Your rap music.
Yeah.
You're always old.
So, I don't know, man. Like it's I can't fault this movie in any real regard. Like even like at the first viewing I had of it, I was not a huge fan of the ending, where like everything just sort of like burst into supernatural, and like they're like, here's everything, and you're your god demon. There you go. And I was like, that was too much for my brain to comprehend at that moment. But like taking the time to kind of breathe afterwards, I was like, maybe I get it now.
Yeah. And as you're bringing up of the idea of this is all still just a mental illness thing inside the mother and or the son.
Yeah.
It breathes new light into that moment now, because I didn't think of that. I've gone, like, none of this happened because they don't give you an aftermath, and that makes you think this could be all in your freaking head.
Yeah, because I mean, imagine like the police turn up and there's just decapitated bodies and a burnt guy in the living room. They're not going to think a demon did that.
No, exactly. So it leaves a lovely question for us to try and decipher of, is any of this real? Because you don't get any outside influence on this. Because see, people at school, they treat him like normal after everything.
Yeah.
That bit really freaked me out. See when he's sitting with his pals getting stoned under the bleachers? Like 3 or 4 days after he decapitated his little sister by accident, they just sit there and talk about Facebook. And I'm like, right, do you guys, like, are just meant to be dicks? Like, this is your mate who's obviously going through shit. But then that sets up, as you're saying, with mental illnesses, because if he's mentally ill, he won't see the world normally because he'll be locked in his own mind. And
I think one of the other things to kind of take into account as well is the fact that how overbearing the mother is. Like, in a sense, like she could be almost imparting her theories and her like psychosis onto him, because she's found these books in the attic and she's reading through and she's like, oh my god, we must be part of a cult. Look at this, look at it, it's this thing, and she sees pictures of this woman who was hanging out with your mum. Like, for all I know, she might have just picked it up from that picture and said, oh, I've met this girl, I've met her, I know her, and stuff like that.
Yeah, like none of that could be real. Like, it could have been something that just happened to kind of look like her.
And it's a scary thing to think, like, you trust your mother implicitly.
Joan could have just not been a character at all. That could just be some random, what you're saying, Mark, it could have just been some random woman in a picture.
Here's a question, see, Joni, did you actually see her at the meetings in the circle?
No.
I don't remember her being there. No, that's the thing. I only see her outside. I don't remember her in the first part.
So you only ever see her interact with the mum one-on-one and the son one-on-one. So
but even then, she's just screaming at the son from across the street, which might just be something.
But nobody turns round. It's only the son that notices. Oh my goodness, this film's a lot more clever than I thought it was. It was a clever film, but man, my mind is blown.
Can we talk a little bit about the little nods throughout the film? So there's moments throughout the entire film where, when it was recommended to us and to myself, you need to watch the film twice, and there's so many things you won't pick up on, like the symbol that was in the loft that was painted in blood. That was on the telephone pole.
Yep, it was. Yep. I've seen that.
There was the moment where she cut off the old pigeon's head, which that didn't sit well with me at all. I fucking hated that moment. Yeah. Obviously, you got the decapitation foreshadowing there. The burning scarecrow in the field, or the scarecrow sort of surrounded by fire.
Right.
Alludes to the dad later. And then there's a lot of like writing in Charlie's room all over the walls. A lot of it I couldn't really read, but I don't know if did you pick up on any of that, Mark, if that alluded to anything as well?
Yeah, I saw some of it. I know that a lot of it's kind of like related to different types of rituals, but it seemed more Latin, but the text that she had weren't in Latin, which was confusing part to me.
It looks like ancient, like Hebrew or something that she was doing, because there's a lot of like Jesus symbology and things throughout this film.
But there was some stuff that was
It had a crown on the pigeon. It was almost like they're foreshadowing the crowning of the new king. Like she drew the pigeon with a crown. I don't know if that had anything.
I think there was some stuff written on Charlie's wall that was just in English, though. Or it was English characters anyway.
That's what I was saying, but I think it was written in Latin. It was Latin words, I'm pretty sure, but they were written in English. Yeah. That's what confused me, because like obviously if it's trying to communicate something, and if it wasn't through its original text, so I need to go back and see what they actually do mean though, because I mean obviously we all know what pandemonia means.
I like the fact that Michael says you need to watch this twice. I am never watching this again. Ever. Like,
no, watch
this is a one and done thing for me. This is Paranormal Activity all over again. I couldn't go home after watching Paranormal Activity, because I went to the cinema with my mate to see it and thought I was dying. I was like, I'm going to die when I go up the road. I went to his, and we sat about for a bit, and then I went, I have a dark lane to walk through before I get home by myself. And I went, I'm going to sit here with you, man. We were like 17, so it was one of the things, we'll just sit up night, we ended up drinking, which turned out to be a great night, but I was like, yeah, I'm doing this because I'm cool and want to drink, but it was like, no, man, I think I'm going to get killed by some scary invisible monster if I leave.
I know, like it is a horrible feeling when you have to do that. Like I think it's the same feeling as like what he has when he smokes that bad weed, where he's just like, could someone just hold my hand?
Yes.
Like,
oh my god, it's exactly that. But yeah, that was my whole thing on that film, was like it gave me the same sensation. And do you know what? I love it for it, because I don't get many horror films that give me that sensation anymore, because I'm an adult, I'm rational, I know how the world works. I watched that and every bit of my rationality just went, I don't need any of this nonsense.
I think it's because the movie spends such a long time making these characters extremely believable. Like it doesn't bother with the horror elements for a long time. It just kind of says like, look at this family and feel their fucking pain. So you're kind of like, oh, it's believable, and then it goes, no.
Yeah, no. I think you touched on it earlier really well. It's a film about grief that happens to end up having something fucking with your grief. And I think we all know the power of grief. Everybody's lost someone in their life at some point, whether it be a grandparent or whatever, or even if it's as like a pet, and it fucking attaches to that feeling and holds it so tight that you just can't get off that ledge of tension, because you know how that feels. It's the horriblest feeling in the world. And then he goes, we're going to set your dad on fire. And you're like, why do I set my dad on fire? Why are you doing this? It's awesome.
But there's also the, if you take away the because there does not need to be a supernatural element to this film. There, in fact, for all we know, there isn't. This is all a mental trip, and it harkens back to just the simplicity and complexity of this is just passed down mental illness.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
the
it's
title
just a whole...
says it alone. Like,
yeah, like this is all just about mental illness being stuck in the family, and just that debilitating dementia and schizophrenia, and just how god awful that can be. So again, it doesn't need to be a supernatural film in the slightest.
But sure. I appreciate that level of artistry though, to kind of like to bring that to the everyday person and kind of like shine a light on it.
Because that's what it can feel like to someone in that position. It's what it's almost like is Gerald's Game. That people were fucking terrified of Gerald's Game because she's just stuck on a bed, and everything that she's experiencing is pretty much going to be a hallucination. It's all in her own head, and that's obviously what they're trying to show is just it's horrible. It's like sleep paralysis as well. Someone could never it's like trying to describe sleep paralysis to someone.
Yeah, so that's why it's great to do this sort of thing through like an artistic endeavor like this, and like kind of just like elaborate on it and like into the, I don't know what we call it, horror and science fiction or whatever you want to do, kind of stratosphere, to help kind of humanize it or something, and kind of like help people understand in a better way. Yeah,
just to educate the world on like other people's experience. Yeah.
As we put it, it is a very clever film about grief that gives enough Hollywood, as I like to say it, to make it reachable for everyone.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's like, see, given that supernatural element, makes it just Hollywood enough that it's not like a avant-garde type film of this underground cult film that you only really watch if you're really into this type of stuff. Because if it was a film about grief, it would still be amazing. If it took away all the kind of supernatural imagery, it just kept in some kind of aspects of how mental illness works, I think it could have ended up falling into that category of the unless
like the kind of indie,
unless you know about it, you're not going to watch it. I think it was such a good decision to go, let's put in some. of this.
Because it gives it a talking point. Like, that's what I mean. Like everything else, like even for people who didn't get the film, they can still like come back to it and see it again and maybe pick up something the second time. Or
it was like me when I was looking for the trailer for this, because I was going to show the trailer and I was going to line up clips, and I realised I can't do that to myself. It's like, no.
Well, I think the trailer is important as a part of marketing. I'm actually super proud of what they achieved with the trailers, because the trailers made this film look boring. Like they made it look like a standard. It's the evil girl, and you know what's going to happen. They set you up for a fucking fall, and it was fantastically done.
Okay, do you know what? I've got the trailer lined up here. If we want to have a
I hope it's the right one. I know I've seen.
It's the first trailer from. According to this, it's the first trailer. So it gives me. I just need to turn on this, so we all need to be quiet.
Okay.
Come on, Peter. Let's just do it.
It's heartening to see so many strange new faces here today. I know my mom would be very touched and probably a little suspicious. My mother was a very secretive and private woman. It's Grandma. You know you were her favorite, right? Even when you were a little baby, she wouldn't let me feed you because she needed to feed you. She was a very difficult woman, which maybe explains me.
I recognize you from your mother.
What? Sometimes I swear I can feel them in the room.
Oh my God! What's that?
She isn't gone.
She had private rituals, private friends.
Who's gonna take care of me?
You don't think I'm gonna take care of you?
But when you die...
She wasn't altogether there. At the end.
I don't like this. Dad, I don't like this.
What's happening? Peter! Don't you ever raise your voice at me! I am your mother! Peter! Mom, what's happening? Make it stop! Make it stop!
I just don't want to put any more stress on my family.
Wow. Wow.
Right. So, we allowed to talk now?
yeah. Sorry, just because the way the audio works.
Yeah. So, yeah, like, what I love about that...
It brought out her scenes that we liked as well, which was great.
Yeah. The thing is, like, the way the trailer does this is it twists it to make it seem like the mother is the victim. It's so fucking well done.
I guess if you set up a trailer to have like the, you know, as you say, Mark, the classic like it's the evil little girl thing, that's always going to be like a seller, because you had that with the likes of The Exorcist. You had it with, obviously it wasn't a girl, but it was a doll. You had Annabelle. That creepy little girl vibe is always going to sell things.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the trailer, see, watching it there, because I've never seen the trailer. I only heard about this in passing. So watching that, oh my God, that's a different movie. It's like Ina brought it up in chat just there. Like the trailer had nothing to do with the film, and I fucking love that. Like one of my best advertisements ever for a movie was when Saw came out. I can't remember if it was a trailer or just a poster, and all it said was, "Have you seen Saw?" That was it. I had to go see it because I was like, "No, I haven't." Like, you're fucking...
You're right. You're right.
The FOMO kicked in.
Yeah, but I like that because a lot of trailers give too much away. Where you go, well, I've just put together your film because you've given me the last part of it.
To be fair, that trailer shows a lot of parts of the film that are further in, but it makes it out to be something else entirely.
Yeah.
It puts it out of order, and it kind of like fucks with what you expect of it. So when I went to see this film, like I delayed it for quite a while because everyone was like ranting and raving, and I saw the trailer, and I was like,
yeah,
don't really want to go see a spooky girl film, and went and seen it anyway. And the moment that the fucking spooky girl gets her head cut off, I was like,
Huh.
Well,
I don't know
what
what's
the
gonna
fuck is going to
happen
happen now?
Honestly, like
Could we... There was also the moment where it panned back to her head.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for that. Thanks for
Fucking
that moment.
Ant
I love
family
that.
living in it now.
Oh.
it's like even me before going into this, I thought it was going to be with the wee girl because I seen other bits and pieces of it kicking about, and I was like,
She's on the poster, like
Aye,
you know, like
she's the main part of this film,
Mhm.
and then it's like, but her body
removed in the
isn't.
first 10 minutes. You know? Aye, that's a good point. Actually, her head's on the poster, but her body isn't.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flick this over into this little scene and have a wee blether with our chat about what we should watch next. Because I feel like we have dissected Hereditary pretty well tonight. I think we've got down to the crux of what
Joker. You're not coming in with the Joker.
Right. Yeah. Right. I'm going to put a caveat on this a little bit to make life easier for us. Preferably if it's on Netflix or Amazon Prime to make our lives a little bit easier because we're running into problems a little bit here. But if you just think of anything, don't care. We'll figure a way out. But
we'll probably find some way to, like, someone might have a copy of it somewhere. Joker's on Prime.
There we go.
That'll be purchased. Neon Demon is an interesting one. Actually, because like, I don't know if that's the right one to start you off with if you're going to be going into like Nicholas Winding Refn films, but it's something that's very different because it doesn't have a plot as much as you'd like it to. It's mostly just scenes.
So that is up there then. If we want to just something that's just going to make me confused.
I don't know. Like I don't want to go back into horror again.
I don't want to go into horror for a while. Like, because what I want to do is I want to do in October. I want to do like everything that we watch on all our stuffs to be horror, and we'll do like a month of horror where I will go grey. So yeah, so like let's cut back the horror. Give me time to prep my soul.
So I mean, I don't mind watching something a bit more schlocky, so we can get a variance on what we're actually doing. I mean,
this is the thing. Hereditary was brilliant, and it was very much you could go into this in so many minute details. I want to go shallow. I want to be shallow.
You want to discuss the explosions? Yeah.
And I have the best explosion film ever lined up.
Okay. What have you got, Michael?
Is it Predator? Oh, okay. I was going to say RoboCop.
Oh shit, yeah. Because after just watching Starship Troopers, I really want to get into some more Paul Verhoeven stuff and discuss a bit more about his.
Donna, you can go away. Like,
no,
this is just because
Mean Girls is fine.
I was going to say Commando, like the shallowest of the shallow movies. We could just talk about one-liners.
I think RoboCop's a good choice because it does have a lot of action, but it also has a lot more to discuss on the side. I think because Paul Verhoeven's never like shied away from political input on his movies.
I was about to say the socioeconomic, political kind of stuff going on with OCP and like the part to play on like
and
humanity
Detroit in
and
general, like
pretty much, yeah.
But does he ever say, "Don't disturb my friend. He is dead tired"?
No, he doesn't, Chris. No, he doesn't.
He says, "Your move, creep."
One I could recommend. Yeah. I so desperately want that T-shirt that says "Remember when RoboCop shot that dude in the dick." It exists. I love it. The only other film I would have recommended would have been Dread.
Oh, I love Dread.
Dread with Carl Urban.
I mean, I think we're kind of like backing ourselves into a corner here where we're only watching films by like 4 directors now. Like Alex Garland, thank you.
Yeah.
No, but I think a Mean Girls special could actually be quite fun. I think, to dissect what makes it such a cultural phenomenon might be quite fun.
I am just having a quick nosy now while she's chatting to see if I can find it anywhere.
What, Mean Girls?
Yeah.
It's available on Prime. I mean, you can buy it, I think. Rent it.
Another one we could have done if we want to get into the sort of Mean Girls genre is you've got Heathers and then Heathers the musical.
Oh God! I
tried
no watching Heathers
there's also
once, and it actually it hurts my every fiber of my being how like odd the dialogue is.
Yeah,
it's kind of like watching the Rocky Horror Picture Show in that sort of regard. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. Have you seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Chris?
Yeah, I went to see it live as well.
Oh, nice.
I
I
went
mean,
to
have you seen the
Kingston.
movie though? Like,
Yeah, I've seen it. Of course, I've
Yeah,
seen
right,
the
right,
movie.
right,
I've seen
right,
the
just-
movie first. I seen the movie first, and
I
I
was
went
like,
to see it live,
Had
which was
you seen the
in-
film live? What?
Yeah, well, I went to see a live screening of it. No,
I
that was a weird
saw
one. So
Tim Curry.
I watched the film with an ex many moons ago, and then I assumed at the time, because she never said anything, that she enjoyed it. So I went, cool. They're playing at the King's Theatre. They're doing Rocky Horror live in like next February or whatever it was. So I got tickets, went to see it, and I have never seen anyone be so door-faced at a Rocky Horror Picture Show. Like, I was even up dancing and everything and singing along because that's what you do. And she sat like this.
to be fair, like the fans of Rocky Horror Picture Show ruin it for me. Like I've known like a few people who are those hardcore like need to say every line, need to like do the fucking dances at every single second they're watching it. I'm just like, can you just let me enjoy it? Would that be possible? Can I look at this film and not want to tear my fucking eyes out?
Wow. So turns out Ina hasn't seen Rocky Horror. Interesting.
You know, you won't make it through the first 10 minutes. You'll just fucking think it's absolute pish. Like, it's not for you.
See, nowadays, as me as an now, I wouldn't enjoy it. It's the same. I don't
I
think
really
I would
want to
get...
go back and watch Little Shop of Horrors as well to see if I have the same reaction, because I remember loving that.
That was on my brain. That was literally just in my brain space. How did you do that, Mark?
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's because it's another one that has that fan base that makes me cringe, but I like the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Rick Moranis just does well.
So what we doing then? We're doing Mean Girls. Are we doing RoboCop? Two very different movies here, guys. What are we doing?
Wait, we can't play to our audience here, can we? Because they're going to just vote for Mean Girls.
No.
Well, the audience has 10 to 15 seconds to make a decision. And if they don't, we get to make a decision. Right, Donna's already weighed in. She's done Mean Girls.
You know
Ina's
what?
done Mean Girls. What does that mean? It means Mean Girls, doesn't it?
I think
we're
we're
gonna-
just. I
we'll
think
do
we're
it.
just doing Mean Girls.
Like,
yeah.
fuck it.
Yeah.
Like,
Next week we're doing Mean Girls. And
Nice.
yes, that's true. I've never seen it. Donna,
Right.
you're
Yeah,
correct.
neither-
I have not seen it.
Neither have I. I've never seen it either.
Right. Okay. I think one of the things you're going to be quite shocked about is it's not really what you think it is. So
Yeah.
like you will be pleasantly surprised. It's very good. I think we should also kind of break into what it means for
Oh, no,
people
for
as
sure.
well, like
For
cultural breakthrough that it is, because it does change things up a bit. So
Uh-huh.
I like it.
Okay.
What was the? I know Tina Fey was involved with Mean Girls.
She
but,
wrote
like,
and directed
she-
it. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
her,
yeah.
her fully original thing. That's what it makes it good, is because it's not like a teen movie directed by a man who doesn't understand teen girls or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got that Tina Fey factor.
So, last wee bit of housekeeping for this evening is on what's happening next week. And Donna can go shush. Like, I don't know why she participates, just to knock me down a peg. So, next week, our Starship Troopers episode is going to get pushed back to next Thursday. Because I don't want to just put out on a random day. I think that's just going to ruin things for our schedule and burn us out, try to figure out timings, okay?
Yeah, we'll actually get it done this time because
This has worked. The setup has worked. I have nobody's said any issues. Me and Michael will be back doing the Simpsons in review on Tuesday coming. I'm going to put a thing on that as well. Is we're not watching Halloween specials, Michael.
That's what I was going to say. Is do you want to do that in October? Yeah.
Wait till October and we'll start running through the Halloween
I
specials.
feel like those episodes like stand by themselves. They don't really
They
fit
don't
into
need-
a season or
yeah.
anything. Yeah,
They're just,
yeah.
they are what they are, so we're going to leave that out. So if there's any Halloween specials coming up, we're not going to talk about them. And then next Friday, Mean Girls. We're rocking Mean Girls.
You sound so happy about it, Chris.
I
One
am
day-
actually really excited.
One
It
day
has-
I will
it has
get
been
an
on my
Arnold
to-watch list.
Schwarzenegger film.
Yep.
I will get one day. And if it takes it being my birthday weekend, then so be it. Because I'm
Look, you-
putting that in on...
You're a massive fan of one-liners, aren't you?
Yeah.
Right, that's what this entire fucking film is. You're gonna
But-
love Mean Girls. It's just one-liners.
But are they delivered by the giganticest man in the world?
No.
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 See,
It's by Lindsay Lohan.
So the second least
Actually,
giant man in the world.
doesn't have any lines really. She's the worst character in the
Yeah.
film.
No, but,
Oh, wow.
but yeah, so next week, if this holds up, which it seems to be, we'll be on a normal schedule, and we should be able to do normal casts with you guys and do this properly, because I know that has been probably pretty frustrating as a viewer to watch us come and go, and then get annoyed and then just talk about Three Kingdoms.
just like karma comedian.
So yeah, next week we should be back at a really good schedule for everyone, and I will do my absolute damnedest to make sure everybody knows that we're back to a normal schedule. So I would like to thank everybody in chat, Ina, Donna, who have joined us today to actually have a blather and give us
Thank you very much.
movie requests. Thank you guys. And it's Michael, you had a quote of how to end this and I can't remember it. Do you remember it?
Oh God, it's guys, it's always a pleasure, but we're always the worst.
Till next time, since Michael's ended us.
Bye.
Bye
Right,
everybody.
cheers.